looking at your environment with a set of fresh eyes and being like, does this align with where I'm going, what I want to call in, what I want to achieve, especially in your practice? What are the types of clients that I want? Is there books talking about that type of client? Is there that are like connected with those kind of issues? So there's some nice things to do.
Yeah. Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Well, hey, everyone. I hope you are doing well as we enter summer 2021. We are doing good over here at the Mustard household. Our girls are finally done with school. And now the boards are going to start. I'm going to start hearing the board around the house every now and then, I'm sure. But we are excited that summer is here. The girls both did great, finishing up fourth grade, going into fifth grade, and finishing up seventh grade, of course, going into eighth grade. So they've got a bunch of activities planned this summer, hoping that I will be able to take some time off and hang out with them and take some fun trips. I know we're going to go on a trip to Virginia at some point in August, and then we might be heading up to the Northeast at some point as well. We're trying to make all these things happen. And also want to let you guys know that as I head into summer, I do tend to take some time off. So episodes may not be released twice a month. It might be more like once every 6 weeks. I'm not quite sure yet. I have a bunch that I'm working on that I want to bring to you. And I have a bunch of interviews lined up with some spectacular folks. So those will be coming, but the in-between time of getting things edited and the intros done and the show notes done, I might be kind of slacking off a little bit over the summer. I hope you guys understand. You know what that's like. So let's talk about this week's guest. Her name is Patricia Lohan, and she is a Feng Shui expert, manifesting magnet, an alchemist, healer, spiritual nomad, and a real-life Irish Celtic shaman. Some people call her the Mary Poppins of Prosperity, Abundance, and Peace of Mind. On this week's episode, she's excited to share how Feng Shui can make an impact in your professional and personal lives. We hope you enjoy this episode. She's going to share some practical tips on re-energizing your workspace. So let's jump right into it. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this week's guest is a little bit different, you guys. I'm super excited to bring to you Patricia Lohan from Ireland. Welcome to the show, Patricia. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to chat to you today.
Yeah. So please tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Patricia. I'm currently in the Dublin Mountains, and I am a Feng Shui expert. And I help women turn their homes into magnets for money, luck, and blessings using the ancient art of Feng Shui. Really, I'm on a mission to make Feng Shui mainstream and just demystify this practice that is very much misunderstood.
Yeah. So can you tell us what it is? Like break it down.
I love it. So Feng Shui is ancient practice. So it's like over 5,000 years old. And when we look at the words Feng Shui, and what it actually means is good health and good harvest. So if we think about, health, vibrancy, that's what we want. And also then the harvest is all about like we reap what we sow, so it's the prosperity part. So that's kind of like the fundamental kind of overall philosophy is all about like creating an environment that is supportive for our health and our wealth. And then when I like to really mirror and connect it with the energy of acupuncture. So Feng Shui is like acupuncture for your home. Essentially, if there's parts of your home where the energy is not flowing, where it may be stagnant, it is creating disharmony in the house, but also in you. So, we spend so much time in our homes, and especially now we're spending so much more time in our homes and our offices and at home, that it's a really beautiful, powerful practice to make sure that you can, align and come into balance. So when we're working with Feng Shui, we just want to balance the energies of your home. And ultimately, once your home is balanced, it brings you into a type of a balance. And it is really all about that connection of like alignment and flow. And when we do that, it really, it's a beautiful practice that's just very supportive for everybody in the house.
Yeah, I love this. I'm so grateful that you're here to share all about Feng Shui. It's something that I have heard off and on over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about it, so I am brand new to this topic. So a lot of my listeners are, of course, therapists, and they,
Mm-hmm.
prior to COVID, had an office
Yes.
and a home.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I talk to a lot of peers, a lot of friends who have brought their practice home. Telehealth is their way of the world,
Yeah.
their business. And I'm just throwing out some anecdotes of friends who I've spoken with recently. So maybe their kids are home doing homeschool, and all they have between the kids and their office is a door. And some folks have a very small home, and they've managed to create an office space. Maybe it's not the most conducive, but it has to work for them right now. And then some folks are wondering, is it time for me to go back in the office? Where I live here in South Carolina, we're starting to open up a good bit. So I have therapist friends that are, heading back into the office. So I know that's a lot of different scenarios, but I think if we could focus a little bit on the therapist that's working from home right now, maybe has a spare bedroom as an office, just kind of had to throw it together really fast. How would you, and they're kind of going through that burnout, like we're on Zoom, or maybe not getting the natural lighting. What would be some tips to kind of help them set up their office for, like you were saying, better health and eventually maybe some better wealth?
Yeah, for sure. And, I totally resonate and hear that. And this is, every industry. And I've been on Zoom calls for like 800 people to a company where the entire company was brought working from home.
Right.
And they actually sent in photos of a lot of the different people's office situations, so we could literally break them down and kind of give best practice solutions. So I'm happy to go through all of these variations with you, because I feel like right now we've been in this situation for a while, and I don't think anybody realized it was going to go on as long as it has, or, and maybe it's going to become a permanent situation, or much more permanent. So the first thing I would say to you is starting to just think about, like, if this is going to be the place that you're working from, I want you to start thinking and just imagining that your clients were going to be coming to see you, even if they're never going to come to your office or to your workspace at home. Just starting to think about that, and how would you change it? What would you need to do? So I'm going to, there's best practice Feng Shui. I'm going to talk about the very best practice. And then we're going to kind of step back through all of the variations. Like if you're at the kitchen table, what to do. Okay. So the first thing I would say to you is, like, the very best practice in the ideal scenario is that if you are in a spare bedroom that nobody is using, there's no guests at the moment, can you actually take the bed out? Can you actually start to go, I'm going to commit to making this space my own and not have this distraction of this bed here. And I literally just had a client call the other day with a lady, and her husband was in this scenario. And I was like, you know what? No one's going to be coming to visit. He's in the worst situation setup wise. Like, the energy was coming straight at him, didn't look supported. And he'd actually had a really tough year of business as well. So I was like, let's start to prioritize, like, what's most important. Again, you're going to be spending nearly 8 hours in this space. So I want you to start thinking about, like, how can I, when I walk into that space, what can I bring into it that's going to make me feel more inspired? So whether it is like changing the light bulbs to one of those nice, brighter light bulbs that are like more healthy lights, whether it's bringing in some plants into the space. Like, for me, fundamental Feng Shui stuff is like a good chair. This guy's office that I saw that he's working from at the moment, he was sitting on like this hard wooden chair. And I'm like, this is not a CEO chair. This is not an I'm the boss chair. Like, get yourself a proper chair that you're going to feel comfortable in, that you're going to feel supported in. And from that, I'm like, honestly, just that one thing for everybody, I will be like, you'll feel a difference. You'll be like, wow, God, that really makes a difference. Even if you're sitting with your back to the door in the worst situation, at least you're going to have some proper support. So the first is like, get yourself a good chair. See if you can kind of create that space for you. Now, if you are in the corner of your actual bedroom that you're sleeping in, I still recommend a good chair. Yeah. Just making sure that you like cover it at nighttime, cover the desk at nighttime, or the dressing table that you're working at, like take the work stuff out. But best case scenario, you have a room that is going to be your now office space. Start to see how you can get yourself in a supportive situation. So when you're sitting in this space, can you get yourself with the wall behind you?
Mm-hmm.
Can you get in a space where you can see the door? When we sit with our back to the door, we are automatically like turning on this kind of flight or fight response where we're kind of feeling like there's something could come in behind me and we can't see what's coming at us. And we don't often have space to kind of see like kind of the spacious expansiveness in front of us. So that's the best case scenario, is get yourself a good chair, a nice solid desk. Like if you're sitting in a wonky chair, how unstable are you? You know, that's this like mirroring back to you. Like every single part of your environment is going to be mirroring back to you. So you want to feel that support, a good desk, and seeing the door. That's best case scenario. The next thing in that space is then bringing in what inspires you. So if you are working as a therapist, like what books, like bring in the books that are associated with that inspire you, that you like refer to, the teachers that you just love the most that you have. They may be down in the library or down somewhere else. Bring some things that mirror and reflect your work into your space. So that's going to just be this like, okay, I'm creating this space that is aligned with where I want to go, what I am doing. I also love in our office space having just a picture of your family. Like, why am I doing this? What's this all about? Why am I in this square box for 8 hours a day? Like, what's it all about? And you see that kind of like energy in the space. And then the other thing is that I often see in spaces, it can be a little bit like where you have items that may be really distracting. So I've talked about the bed, not ideal. And if you can't get rid of the bed, can you move it over? Can you put it to the side? Just kind of give yourself some space. Like you'll feel different and you'll be like, wow, I'm starting to make my work more serious and taking this more seriously. And then what artwork do you have in there? Is there some inspiring quotes that make you feel really good that you want to come in and be like, oh yeah, that's going to remind me of this? Or you have a vision board, just something, the items that are going to feel supportive for you in that space is a great idea. So that's like the best case scenario. So if you do happen to be then like, oh no, I'm actually in my bedroom. And I'm like, okay. So if you are actually in your bedroom, again, the same principles, get yourself with a good chair, your back to the wall if you possibly can. And then at nighttime, just make sure that you take away that work stuff out of your eye of vision. So you're not in bed seeing like your notes or your journals or your things. Have a container that you just put everything into. And actually the same goes for if you're working at the kitchen table. I have clients who are currently working at the kitchen table. I'm like, get yourself a different chair so that you're kind of like, this is my work chair. And you get into it and you're like, I'm in the state of work mode now. I've had clients who have created like little boundaries around themselves that they fold up, like had their vision board on them, and they've created, so they just kind of, when they go to work at the kitchen table, they just put this up around them so the kids are not like, they know, oh, she's working, like leave her alone.
Right.
And then at nighttime, pack it all away, put out the new mats on the table, put a bunch of flowers out, so you're kind of differentiating and changing the space.
Yeah, so smart. I love those tips. Full disclosure, I live in a very small house with 3 other people, and we have to get really creative with our space. So this is just really giving me some great ideas. I never really thought about covering up, because sometimes I have, stuff in our bedroom that's work related. I never thought about how does that affect my energy when it's work in my bedroom after hours. That's a really interesting thing to point out. So I'm going to start paying attention more to what I have on my desk and what, coming and going. And that's really wise. I hadn't really ever thought about that. So thank you for those tips.
The other thing, just like for people, is your phone. Like get it out of your bedroom.
Yeah.
We're on technology all the time.
Yes.
I've got an alarm clock. My solution was I used to get up in the morning, go down and get my phone, bring it up, put my meditations up, do my meditations or whatever I wanted to listen to, the apps I wanted to use that were just for my morning practice, except I still had Instagram and Facebook there. And it was just like too tempting to go there. And I was like, no, it's too early to go there. I don't want this in my life. So I had like an old phone that I've put all of the meditations on. I don't have anything else on it. So I know that I have just that place where I can go and it's like nothing to do at work, and that's okay. But the thing that if we've been working on it, it's too much busyness beside our head. And you were saying about like having your work stuff in your bedroom. I've had clients who've been trying to conceive. And I'm working in their house and I'm going around their bedroom, and beside the husband's bed, there's a stack of paperwork. And I'm like, so three's a crowd in your bedroom. And she was like, oh, and I'm like, where's his attention going to be? Like, how is he going to actually be able to like, focus on what you actually want? And then in the corner of the bedroom was a picture of her granddad. And I'm like, we definitely don't want your granddad looking at you in bed. Like, seriously. So yeah, it's just like the things that we have in our environment, in our space can be impacting us. If you are in this situation, just like start to just look around and go like, how can I create better boundaries with my work? Whether it is that spare bedroom that you're in at the moment, can you get like a closed sign to put it on it when you walk out? And just, you will find clients won't be messaging you out of hours. You will be getting those emails coming that come like or a message that comes at this weird time. And you're like, this is inappropriate. But actually what you need to do is just create some kind of boundary of it.
Right. I love that tip. I refuse to have my phone in my room unless I'm on call for work, which we all understand is necessary at times. So yes, those are just great tips. Hey friend, want to be more comfortable while sitting on the therapy couch? I sure did, and went looking for pants and tops that were soft, wrinkle resistant, and would match just about anything I already had in my closet. And now Zyia Active makes up about 80% of my wardrobe. Would you like to learn more? Head over to my site, lisamustard.com, and click on the activewear tab. And don't think this is just for women. They have men's and kids' clothes too. And our family is loving the quality, and I am loving the price tags. So head over to my site to check it all out. Would you change any of your tips for an office space? So as you go back into, maybe you're getting back into your private practice space, any rituals or habits that you might want to suggest or give ideas for?
Yeah, for sure. Well, in your actual practice space, and you can use the same principles in your office, but if you're going back to it, a really nice space clearing or creating a ritual between clients is a great idea. I really like that idea of whether it's a bell or a little Tibetan bowl or something just to shift the energy between them. And, even before you start the practice, that you just do kind of an overhaul, a clear out, clearing out any paperwork from clients that no longer work with you, that you don't need to keep on, any paperwork, like doing a little bit of a shedding of skin basically before you start afresh back into the space again. That can always just like boost the energy, and people will feel it when they come in. I've just been doing kind of a challenge in my group, and a lady just like, she did a few things that I suggested in one of my trainings, and her husband came home and he said, oh my God, the house feels great. What have you done? Like, she wasn't like fundamental big things that looked any different, but he just felt the difference. So whether it's like opening the windows, like using a bell or a chime or play some nice music to just clear the space, and going through old paperwork and even some books or that don't resonate with you anymore. And just have a little think about, like, I love using the analogy of just fresh eyes, like looking at your environment with a set of fresh eyes and being like, does this align with where I'm going, what I want to call in, what I want to achieve, especially in your practice? What are the types of clients that I want? Is there books talking about that type of client? Is there that are like connected with those kind of issues? So there's some nice things to do.
Yeah, those are great tips. I really appreciate you speaking to the energy in the room and the idea of, you said ringing a bell, or I kind of imagine like a sound kind of, is a sound bowl? Is that something
I
that
have crystal ones here.
Okay.
You know what? I even have I have these lovely little chimes. I have Tibetan bowls as well, like a sound bowl, but even like something like that's going to just move the energy. So you can get small little Tibetan bowls that you just like ring a chime. I have crystal ones here. I even have a little rattle. Like I did a lot of sound therapy over the years. I have a lot of these, and it just shifts things. And even just for yourself, it's really useful to just kind of clear your own energy between clients.
Right. Oh, I like that. What about things like candles or things that you can, change the smell of the room? Is that a helpful thing?
Yeah, brilliant. I love that. Like we were just talking about dogs before we got on, so I've got a new puppy. And anything that's going to change the energy is going to be a positive thing. So like in a, in a lighthearted way. So I was like, puppies are just unconditional love. Like they're just like running around and they're joy. So the same thing is like with candles. I definitely would go for, the soya based ones that have like proper essential oils, not the artificial oils, because they can really have a lot of toxins in them. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like a toxicity expert, and she was just like, oh, scented candles, like make sure you get the natural ones, because those perfumes can be really not good for you at all.
Right.
But then going for like, okay, what are the scents that are going to be uplifting? So that would be, we have Shenxi and Shachi in Feng Shui, and what we're looking at is like how is it going to affect us? So the first thing would be the smell. So the smell is going to be like uplifting. So whether it's like orange or citrus or lime or something that's going to feel really uplifting and fresh and cleanse the space will be really great as well.
You just reminded me that I have an essential oil diffuser, and I don't know, I got to go find it, because I remember back when COVID first hit, that was something that I was using a good bit. It really helped me, help my energy. It helped keep me sane with a lot of things, but I'm just remembering back to, these things really do help. And so if you've put it on the back burner or you've never given it a try, I'm one of those skeptical people, like, I don't know. And then I try it and I'm like, what took me so long, So
I know.
I mean, I just really appreciate these tips. I know that they're super helpful, and it's so much about energy, the work that we do. And when we have better energy for our work, we can show up, as our best selves and as best therapists. So wait a minute, you have a group. What's this group about? How does that work?
Oh, so our group is called the Pop-Up. We've the Pop-Up Powerhouse Party. And essentially I have some free trainings about Feng Shui.
Oh, okay.
That get people started. Like, where do I start with Feng Shui? What is it? And really answers a lot of the questions about the process of Feng Shui and how to get started with your home. And I do live Q&As, and, people kind of start taking action. And, for me, it's just about an awareness is the biggest thing. It's just about awareness that our physical environment is impacting us. And, as a therapist, you're working with people on their beliefs, you're working with people around what's going on in their past and all of those things, which is so powerful. You're bringing it to the light to hopefully for them to release and let go and move forward. But absolutely, I used to work as a holistic therapist years ago with all of my different therapies. And I had this like epiphany when I really dived deeper into the Feng Shui for myself. And I had some clients coming, and literally one in particular was like doing everything you could possibly imagine on the list of things to do to improve your life. Like it was just like tick, 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 to the case of like doing like the therapy, the energy work, like the Qigong every morning. She was going out walking. She was cooking a separate meal for herself because she was cooking healthier for her. Her husband wouldn't eat it. Like this was the extent. And it was just like, I don't know if you'll probably have those clients. You're like, I just don't know what is going to get them over the hurdle. And it was frustrating for me because I was like, what is it? And I started doing the Feng Shui professionally. And she said to me, she's like, oh, you're doing the Feng Shui? Come to my house. And I got to her house and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like she was letting go on like every level possibly, personally, but physically in her house, it was literally a shrine to her past. It was just full of stuff. It was completely like I just walked in and I was like, oh my God, this is it. Yeah. Like she'd been so good on the personal, but she had not realized that it was actually, she was doing all this work. She was going out and then she'd go home and her home just went up and kind of like got her back to square one again.
Oh gosh. As a therapist, I'm like, okay, I'm sure I have clients out there that would really need to hear that, because you're so right. Like if you are surrounded by things that are from your past and yet you're dealing with issues from your past and you're staying stuck, like it just makes sense. I think it's so wise. And I do know that a lot of people have a hard time of letting go of certain things, but sometimes you have to let go to move forward. And I just think that's, like you said, brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. And it's compassion. Like, I think for me, especially because we have a lot of clients that come into our world, just like that, they're like feeling stuck. They just have been doing the work and they're just like, why am I not tipping to the next point? What's stopping me? And it oftentimes, obviously when they found me, I'm kind of like, well, it's obviously your house because you found me. Like there's no accidents, Right. And we start looking at their house. what I start with them is just like, don't go and like store it out, like try and declutter your photo albums, like, or, you know, the wedding dress from the ex partner, or the stuff like that's going to be like really tough. Like start easy. Like I like, it's almost like an exercise muscle. Like you don't go run 10K the first time you've run in 5 years, like go for a walk. So I start with like, go to the cupboard with all the plastic Tupperware and like clean that out and sort it out and clear some stuff that you've no emotive connection to, and see how it feels. Or go to that drawer that has like loads of random stuff and junk that could just be sorted out. See how that feels. And it starts to build momentum. Like it's just fascinating. And even the practice of, you know, moving something that you don't quite want to let go of closer to the door, like even just moving it shift something.
I know. That's so funny because that's what we do in our house. Like as we're cleaning things out, it slowly makes its way to the front door. And then it's just getting it from the house into my car so I can go drop it off at a donation center. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, it's just that act. And it's hard, you know, I'm one of those people, like, I don't like to throw things away because I might wear it next year or I might use it. And I'm really not one to get all emotionally attached to things. So I do find it fascinating that it has so much to do with energy. And I know that once I get rid of things, I'm just so much more free and I have more to give. And I love what you're doing. So I do have a question, and I should have started out with it. So what is your career path? Like, how did you get to where you are today? I'm super curious.
So my career path is quite eclectic. I actually got my first book about Feng Shui when I was 15. So I've just been into this. You know, I honestly feel like, you know, my soul knew what I was meant to do, but like my 16-year-old self knew, but I didn't have a clue. And I really wanted to study psychology, believe it or not. But I ended up doing a business degree and getting into business and marketing. And my parents were entrepreneurs. So I kind of decided I wanted to be like at a 9 to 5. I wanted to work in an office and be normal because that's not what I grew up with. Right. Of course, like entrepreneurship was being in my soul. So after a few office jobs and working marketing, I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. This is my worst nightmare. Right. So I actually went back and worked in my family business for like 8 years. And while I was working there, I kind of had like a dark night of the soul. I'm sure like most of your clients, you're like, what am I doing? And I actually sat in front of a therapist and she just asked me like, what do you want? And I cried for an hour. I could not tell her. I had no idea. I'd been so kind of like waylaid by like what everybody else wanted for me and what everyone else, I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, you know, go get the degree, go there, do this, do that. And it was all like, kind of this path that was like so not what I was supposed to be doing. So I had this like epiphany one day and decided I was going to quit. I moved to India to become a yoga teacher. I quit everything, left my family, my job, everything, and went to India. And while I was in India, I studied yoga and lots of different modalities. I actually went for a month and I ended up there nearly a year. So everyone was like, when are you coming home? I got back and I started working all of these different practices I trained in. So it was like sound and kinesiology and Reiki and all of these different holistic modalities. And I totally was loving that. And I was building my business doing that, not doing Feng Shui at all. And that was going fine. And I decided to Feng Shui my apartment because I remembered it. I'd moved into an apartment. I wanted to meet my new husband, meet a guy. I wanted to meet someone. So I set up my apartment using the Feng Shui principles that I knew. And I soon after met my now husband, Ken. And from that, everybody, all my friends in my circles were like, how did you meet him? What did you do? Oh my God, he's amazing. There's no spiritual man. And I was like, well, I just did these Feng Shui stuff. And they were like, what did you do? So that kind of started this whole ripple. And then when I came to this house where Ken had built this house, I'm going around, I'm like, he's Feng Shui this place. So he had been into Feng Shui in his 20s. So we both were kind of like similar opinion when he'd been going through his own kind of personal development growth in his 20s. He was like, hang on a minute, if my house is a mess and my mind is a mess, like I'm trying to sort out my head and my house is a mess, I need to sort this out. So he got into it from that as well. And then we decided to do it. Like we moved in together and I was like, I'm going to dive deeper into this. I want to just do this practice for myself. I'm fascinated. So I studied with a Feng Shui master, you know, the teacher's ready, when the student's ready, teacher appears. And Ken said, I want to do it too. So we both went and did it together, never imagining that we would be doing this as our career. And we came home from the training and did the Feng Shui in our house here. And we had a 6-figure windfall. Like really soon afterwards, I started getting more clients. I started getting busier. Ken, like loads of stuff started starting from him. I was on the TV. Loads of stuff just started. We were like, what has just happened? So it was really powerful, like shift for us. So that kind of like propelled us into, you know, my own clients were like, oh, you're doing the Feng Shui now, come do my house. And that's how it unfolded. And now we both work full time Feng Shuiing people's houses all over the world.
That's so exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just thrilled to have connected with you. And learned so much. And I'm just really, really grateful that you've come on the show. And I really believe that therapists out there, if you want to know more about Patricia, how do they find you?
So you can find me at patricialohan.com or at Lohan Patricia on Instagram. I'm always sharing stuff there. And I love, like, I have some masterclasses and stuff. So if you go to that website, you'll be able to, I don't know when this is aired, but patricialohan.com/masterclass. Okay. And I have some trainings that are available that people can get started.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to be going to check out your information and look at your classes. I need some help. Like I said, we have a really small house and my work is shifting now a good bit, and I'm finding myself home doing the show more, and I need to shift my energy and kind of get myself Feng Shuied. Is that a word? I guess I just maybe.
Yeah, I think so. We make up our own words with it as well. Well, and you know, I think one of the things that you're saying, like about a small house, you know, every house can be Feng Shuied, and it's not about moving house or changing it. I have clients in Manhattan in tiny studio apartments that like we work with, and they work from those spaces. We've worked on how we can shift the dynamic as well. So it's like, you know, we can think, oh, my house is too small, my house is this or this. We just work with what you've got. And if there's anything that you've ever heard about Feng Shui that you want me to kind of say, is this right? Is this true? Like, please come and message me, because I would prefer to just like clear it up, because there's a lot of some strange stuff out there about it.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. There's all kinds of stuff out there. So definitely check in with Patricia to make sure it is the correct information, you guys. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming onto the show. I'll put all I'll put all the links to find you in the show notes, and I'm just super grateful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.